Hi everyone, it's Marissa with Bumblebee Apothecary. Today I'd like to show you how to make meat stock. So this is one of the very first things that you need to know when you're starting the GAPS diet. If you've been with me, you've seen some of my other GAPS diet videos. I have a series called The GAPS Diet for Dummies, and in that I go through a bunch of different things that you need to know to get an idea of how the GAPS diet works and what we do on it and why. And now we're ready to dive into some practical things, some actual recipes, and this is the exciting fun part of actually getting started. First of all, let's talk a little bit about meat stock versus bone broth. Sometimes you hear the terms used interchangeably, and in the culinary world, they're actually used a little bit differently, but for the GAPS diet, I'm going to explain what the difference is. So bone broth is broth that has been cooked a longer period of time, 12 to 24 hours or so, sometimes longer depending on what type you're doing. Meat stock, on the other hand, is cooked for a much shorter amount of time, and there is reason behind this. Bone broth is the best long-term just because it has more minerals and different nutrients in it. But if you're in the very beginning stages of the GAPS diet, meat stock is what you're going to want to be able to use, because sometimes bone broth gives too much of a die-off or detox reaction, and meat stock is gentler and usually better tolerated by people in the very beginning stages. So to make meat stock, it's actually really easy, very simple. You can make it as simply as having a whole chicken or even chicken bones in your pot and adding some water and some salt. We're gonna add a few more other ingredients just to make it a little bit tastier, but that's really all there is to it. So in this pot, I have a whole chicken. That is my favorite way to do meat stock, to go ahead and cook the whole chicken rather than just chicken bones. That way you have cooked chicken meat that you can use to make soups or other dishes with. I also have some chicken feet in here, and those just add some extra gelatin and different nutrients that are really good for gut healing. Those are entirely optional. If you have trouble finding them, feel free to leave those out, but since I do have some, we raised our own meat chickens last year, and so we have quite a few chicken feet left from that. I went ahead and threw some in since I know they're very good for you. So to the pot where I have my whole chicken and 5 chicken feet, I'm going to add quartered onion. Everything that you use for making meat stock is going to be composted or discarded later, preferably composted, so it's not going to be actually eaten. So big pieces are just fine. We're also going to put in a couple celery stalks and a few pieces of carrot, and then also a couple cloves of garlic. And then I'm going to add some sea salt, or pink Himalayan salt is what I'm using this time. Sea salt would work well too. I always just add this to taste, but you can, if you want measurements, 1 to 2 teaspoons is a good place to start. Don't be afraid about putting in plenty of salt into meat stock and broth. One of the things that will make them taste not as good is to not have enough salt. Salt is very good for you. There's no reason to shy away from it, especially the whole salts, unprocessed salts that have all the good minerals and everything in it. So go ahead and use it to taste, and don't be afraid of it. The last thing that I'm going to add is water, filtered water. I use a Berkey water filter for all of our drinking and cooking water. And I'm just going to add that, enough water to cover everything. Last of all, I'm going to go ahead and put this entire thing onto the burner. I'm going to turn on the heat and go ahead and bring this to a boil. Once it's come to a boil, we're going to reduce the heat and let it simmer for 1.5 to 2 hours. During the last 10 minutes, I'm going to be adding some fresh parsley to the stock. Okay, so our meat stock has been simmering for almost 2 hours now. And what I'm going to do next is take the chicken out and reserve that. We'll be letting it cool for a little bit and taking the meat off. Like I said, you can use the meat from the chicken for various soup recipes, for chicken salad, for lots of different things, anything that you would use cooked chicken for. So I'm going to take that out. And just let that cool here on a plate. And then we're going to strain the stock that is left over into some jars. It's good to let it cool for just a little bit before you strain it into jars. And then when you do start putting it into glass jars, go slowly. Give the jars a chance to warm up a bit at a time as you are filling them. If you're ladling, it's probably slow enough to be able to give the glass time to warm up and not be shocked and break. But if you were to take the pot and pour the whole thing into a jar, that would probably break the jar. So this is a great way to store broth. You'll notice that when it's in jars like this in the refrigerator, that it will get a very nice layer of fat on the top. That is a very good thing. That actually helps to keep the broth fresh longer in the refrigerator. So definitely don't remove that or anything. So here's our nice jar of meat stock, all ready to use. You can drink it as is. You can use it in soup recipes. I'm going to be showing a basic Gap soup recipe in one of my upcoming videos, and we will be using this meat stock in that recipe. So I hope that you enjoyed seeing how easy it is to make a really wonderful, nutritious Gap's meat stock. I'm also going to have a complete written article all about making meat stock on my blog. There will be a printable recipe card over there that you can grab. I'm also going to put links in the description box to that, and also to a free ebook that I have that is a Gap's Diet kitchen checklist. It goes over everything that you want to make sure that you have in your kitchen before you start the Gap's Diet, and also what you need to get rid of and not use. And it's really handy, free, printable. I'll put a link to that below so you can grab that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with anybody that you think might find it interesting and helpful. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. I make new videos every week on traditional health wisdom and living a sustainable DIY lifestyle. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.